Welcome to the DKA channel where every conversation is real. I am Nurse David, and today's video is a follow-up video on the recent post I made on NCLEX, where I had some guests and we had conversations about what materials we use to prepare for the NCLEX. I've had a follow-up questions from people asking about other materials, so I'm going to share my thoughts and experience with some of them. I did not definitely use every bit of material out there, but I'm going to share what I use and also what probably I heard from other people. So from our first video on the NCLEX that is up now on YouTube, which you can also find on Spotify, we talked about, our experiences and what materials we use to prepare for the NCLEX. I particularly only use the ACHA review for my NCLEX preparation, and I did only ACHA review. My colleagues, from the other video, you had mentioned that they use other materials like ATI, Kaplan, and then UWorld for their preparations as well. However, I must say that I only use the ACHA review preparing for the NCLEX. During nursing school, I did use other materials, which I'm going to mention to you today. For instance, in nursing school, I did start with Sarah RN, which on YouTube you can find, try to understand the material and concept of some of the topics. However, it got to a point that I realized there are certain things I couldn't understand very well or completely understand with Sarah's explanation. So what I also used was, I used, Simple Nursing with Nurse Mike. I think he does a great job with, using acronyms and songs, trying to explain some of these topics and concepts, which was very helpful. I also would recommend Nexus Nurse, which is with, I forgot her name, but Nexus Nurse is on YouTube as well. I think she's an MP, and she was an RN who became an MP. She does amazing with how she also helps you to think, and also analyze, especially questions, right? And I like her energy and the feel she brings to her explanation. I think her explanation helped me in terms of identifying some keywords in questions that will give you a clue that this question or this answer might be wrong, right? So you should check her out. Nexus, she did some Nexus. It's Nexus Nursing, I think. Nexus Nursing, which I think I had pulled up on my computer here. So let me check again. Yeah, so she goes by Nexus Nursing. And so she does an amazing job together with Nurse Mike, as I told you guys. Our school did provide us with certain materials from, I forgot the name, but those I thought were not so helpful in terms of explaining NCLEX question and how to answer those NCLEX questions. However, they were helpful in terms of the material, right? On terms of the substance in the topics, right? But when you come to how to answer questions and understanding big concepts of the topics, or you would want to consider using other resources. I heard people mention McClemick, that was really good as well. I did listen a bit to McClemick, but I think it wasn't my cup of tea. Again, if you realize from the first video, you realize that we all use different materials to prepare for the NCLEX. And this is very important for you to note that I personally know people who use UWorld and pass, and also people who use the UWorld and failed. I use ACHA review, and I know people who use ACHA review and failed, and ACHA review, and myself as an example of somebody who uses ACHA review and passed, right? You have people who might have used Kaplan, like you heard from our first video. One of our guests, Dion, used Kaplan in his last review, and he passed. Then we have people who would use other materials and may pass, right? Like McClemick, like I mentioned. However, it always comes to what is working for you. And that is the key thing you have to take from both that video and this video, is that try to understand the concept and what helps you really understand the concept, right? So which of these materials helps you to understand the material and the concept of this topic? I was speaking to a friend who is getting ready to take the NCLEX very soon, and was asking me about what material, about the materials I was using. And I did make this point that it is all up to which one works better for you. So you have to figure out which one helps you understand the concepts very well to help you prepare for the NCLEX, right? So I may use one material because it works for me, it's helped me understand better, and that may not work for you, right? So it's important for you to realize which of these materials is actually working for you, and then you can stick to that for your NCLEX and prepare for your NCLEX. Like I said, some people are happy to also use a bit here and there. I was not that type. I prefer to focus on one. Like I said, my focus was mainly answering questions and going back to review the question I missed. I did not enjoy reviewing the questions I answered right because of my frame of thought, right? My frame of thought is if I was able to get a question right through how I analyze it, there's a high chance I would analyze it the same way if I should see a similar question. So there was no need for me to review that. But those that I missed, I feel like I did not analyze well. I had missed something on there. So I go back to review those. And I think it saved me time. So because I realized that when people are reviewing, especially when you're using UWorld or Archer Review, and you're doing those practice questions, let's say you take 80 questions and you take an hour or two to finish the 80 questions. If you are reviewing all the 80 questions, it might take you another hour or two or more to kind of review the rationales behind those answers, right? And that's a lot of time being wasted, right? So my goal was to focus my time on the ones I missed to save time, right? And then I go back and I make sure I take those questions. Some of them I had to retake, in terms of mixing them, allowing the test to mix them up for me again. So that it helped me answer a lot of questions before. I think I had gone through majority of the questions before my due date. That is within three weeks. I had gone through a lot of questions almost to the end of the question. I was probably left with a very few questions that I was not able to answer before going to take the NCLEX. So I think that approach was helpful for me. If you have another approach that you think would be helpful for you, go for it, right? At the end of the day, it's the success that matters, how you pass, at the end of the day, the fact that you pass the NCLEX is what matters. So just look for the materials that work for you. If you have a friend, I remember my mates would have somebody using Archer Review and somebody using maybe a UWorld, and they would exchange for a little bit and say, hey, let me try this and see how I feel about it, right? And those are things you can do with your friends, and by, say, let me look at some of the questions from here, or let me try one set of questions and feel like, I think I like this one better than this, or that one better than this, and then go for it, right? And another key thing is dedicating time, right? You did hear from some of our guests in the first episode, right? Planning vacations and stuff like that, I think my view should be after the NCLEX. If you finish school, right after nursing school, find time, sit down, get as much as help you need for other things, so you can focus really and find time and do a lot of practice questions and review rationales and stuff like that. I always say that one important thing though, or another important thing that you have to remember, the NCLEX would always feel like nothing before. That means the questions you're going to see on the NCLEX, most of them will feel, a few of them might feel familiar, but most of them really would be new to you, would throw you off as much as possible. So please be careful when studying, or when please be careful when you are, you are going to take the exam. Don't over, don't over burden yourself, right? Because you will see the questions and they throw you off and you might think, oh gosh, I'm screwed. No. Just when you see that you don't know those questions and, just take a deep breath, relax, and trust your guts, right? Trust your guts, trust the preparation you have made, and take your time to analyze the question. I always say, if you're able to analyze the questions and predict what the answer would be before you even get to the answers, once you see it there, there's a high chance you are right. If you're able to predict before the answer before you see the answer, there is a high chance you were right. So it's a very good way of, preparing or taking tests is, look at the questions, analyze the questions. What do you think is the problem, and what is the next intervention that you would provide for this problem? Or what are the vital signs or signs and symptoms you should look out for a patient with this kind of disease? And if you're able to predict that before you go to the answers, once you see them there, you are good. And especially with the next generation questions too, I always say they can be good and bad in a sense that if you're able to analyze and get the right diagnosis on the first question, because there is a follow-up questions on those things or that very question, you stand a chance of getting about 6 questions correct right off the back. So having that skill is very important. Predicting or being able to analyze and know the diagnosis before going to the answers might help you, get all the follow-up questions right. Or if you're able to predict the first question, would help you get all the follow-up questions correct. So this is an important thing that I think people preparing for the NCLEX should know, especially when it comes to the next generation questions, because they are a set of questions that all belong to one question, right? Because they are all follow-up questions to their main questions. So once you get the first one right, there's a high chance you would get about the next 4, 5, or 6 questions correct. If you miss the first one, then there is a high chance you miss the next few questions too, and that is a downside of the next generation questions. There's another advantage of the next generation questions is the fact that you can get partial credit for some things that you guessed or you might have got right, in terms of, and when you have select more than one, then there's a high chance you could get partial credit for that. So which is also a good thing that comes with the next generation. Finally, I want to mention this, that under the video I posted on the NCLEX, I heard people mentioning a name that I've never heard, called Mr. Andrews. I do not know who Mr. Andrews is. I don't know how credible he is, but from the testimonies in the comments on that video, it seems like he's very helpful. And people are saying he helped them pass the NCLEX. I don't know. I've never heard of him. I tried to look him up online and I couldn't find anything that could identify the particular Mr. Andrews they are talking about. There are people who had mentioned another, there are other Andrews that were mentioned. I think I saw one Andrew Oliver and other Andrew that were mentioned, but I don't know if they are the right Andrews. So, who is Mr. Andrews? Who is Mr. Andrews? I don't know. So, folks, if you know anything about Mr. Andrews and whether it is authentic, that information is authentic, please share and let us know in the comments. Let us know what you know about Mr. Andrews and your experience with Mr. Andrews and what recommendations you make. I don't know the guy. I just heard about him. I've never heard about him. So, but hey, if he's doing a good work, then he should be mentioned, right? But if not too, I don't know whether he's real or not. If it's not real too, please let us know in the comments And if you have any follow-up questions or anything you want to ask me or any topic you want me to discuss, please go ahead and put it in the comments and let me know what questions you like to ask and what things you like to learn about. I have a gift for anybody who will be the first to like, comment, and share this video. So this is going to be a gift that looks like this, actually, from the channel. So as you can see, nice gift. I had this printed out wrongly. I didn't like the print, but yes, you're going to have a gift from this channel that looks something like this, and with the channel logo and then slogan on there. So I look forward to hearing from you guys. Like I said, like, share, and comment, and I will see you again in the next one. Until then, this is the DKA channel. Ciao.